go.
Need to get better at that.
Yes, we do. My name is Marae, and this is
Howler. I don't know
and
why I did
we
that.
and we are here to open up conversations about all things motherhood. Today, we are going to be talking about the many hats we get to wear as moms, and how much bullshit it is that some people think it's just one or two hats.
I know, it's just you're just fit in this one little pocket of motherhood, and that's what you are, and that's it.
So you are.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
the crazy thing about this subject is that whether you are a stay-at-home mom, a stay-at-home mom with a business, a working mom, a full-time mom, like a full-time working mom or part-time, you never wear just the one hat. Because even if you are just a stay-at-home mom, just that job alone includes like being with your kids, whatever that may entail, whether that's homeschooling, daycare, whatever, or just being there to pick them up, drive them around and all that, which is a full-time job already on its own. But on top of that, you're a housewife, right? And even
Yeah.
if you are a full-time working woman who, let's say, gets somebody to clean your house once a week or to prep meals or whatever, you are still a housewife because you're planning, you're organizing, you're scheduling, you know what I mean? It's like, it's so insane. People don't realize that there are jobs for people to fulfill each one of the 25,000 hats we wear. And then some people still have the audacity of saying just a stay at home mom. It's like, what?
Yeah, or nobody asked you to have the kids, and and it's like it's just because we complain a little bit about all of these jobs that come with it, and people just assume it's because like you just have to accept it. Or, like you have to accept that you have all of these jobs and that's your role. As a mother, is what you have to do, and you
Right.
have to be happy about it as well. It's
actually
I love that. So
That's triggering for me too. And people, especially with the flying thing, they're like, well, it's so difficult. Nobody asked you to have kids. And it's like, well, like, I'm not saying that I wouldn't be doing it. I wouldn't go back and not have a kid so my flight will be easier. Like, I'm just saying
yeah,
that this is
exactly.
very challenging. And I don't think we're giving it full credit. Like, being at home and, both of us are home a lot. We work from home, which is not the same thing as being a full time home and housewife. We're both those things, but we're also working from home, which is, also a whole different thing because people feel like we're just playing on our phones or
Spectrums.
something. And it's like, yeah, it's like on my schedule of things that I have to do. Like when I send my daughter to, I don't want to call it daycare because it's not a daycare. It's a person in this island that goes around parks in the city, and she's created a schedule, a weekly schedule. She's very flexible. You can drop your child off for a few hours or a full day, all around the city, whatever she is. She even offers pick up and drop off. And she basically like creates engaging activities that are all outdoors with other children and watches your kid at the park, right? So where I live, it's just really difficult to find schooling and everything else like that. And because of our schedule with traveling and all, like, it just didn't make sense to enroll her somewhere full time. And this works for us. But even for me, that I'm doing this only 2 or 3 times a week, scheduling with this person where she's going to be, driving her all around town to make sure she's there, getting the stuff she needs. Sometimes we need to bring crafts, we need to bring bathing suits because we're doing water park. Sometimes, like, whatever it is, prepping all the meals for when she's away, right? Prepping my schedule around when she's away. And then what's crazy is that
Yeah.
sometimes my husband and I find ourselves creating our work schedule around her park schedule. And then we end up losing half our work schedule because we have to run
Because
errands
of
like grocery shopping or buying
uh,
something for her or Christmas shopping because you can't do that with her, or you know what I mean? All these little things. And again, I don't think there's a parent out there that would ever remove the joy of buying a gift for Christmas for their kid, but it's still something else you have to do and a lot time for and plan for. And I think when people think about just like, oh, you just stay at home mom, you're just hanging out with your baby all day. And I'm like, yes,
it feels
but
like that though as well before having kids. I think, and I think it's because we don't talk about it. Like, there's no if like my mom would never say that being a stay-at-home mom, which she was for many years, was a job. She would never say that, for
mm,
instance. Because her generation learned that, it's what you do type of thing. It's a wife's job to look after the kids and to just be there. And yeah, so people don't ever talk about how actually hard and how many roles and how many little things that go through your head every single day that you are scheduling, planning for your whole family, not just for you. It's just like for everybody, and nobody ever like talks about it. But you hear the mums complaining, and they are all overwhelmed, but we never understand why. And this is
Right.
why, it's because of all of this, and we never talked about it. And
Yeah, because
now
even
everybody now we're sharing, and it's
right. And the thing is like it's not no, I was just thinking like even if so I'm a big fan of hiring people to do the jobs that I'm not great at. You know, like for example, I'm not a person who enjoys cleaning or being in the house. Like I know
yeah.
I have a cousin who loves cleaning. Like Paula here, for example, is a phenomenal cook. Like she looks at a fucking pot, throws shit in it, and a meal comes out, a cake comes out. The way you
Doesn't
bake,
mean I
I'm
like
always
doing it
impressed.
though.
Yeah. Granted. Yeah. But you know, for me, it's like every time I'm gonna bake, I'm like, okay, I gotta take out 25 things and organize them on the table, and then like it's daunting, you know. But I think even for women like me, who like, if I had it my way, like if I wasn't home right now with a baby and we didn't have big plans for a trip next year or whatever, I would be definitely bringing somebody weekly to my house. Maybe if I didn't live in Hawaii where it's so expensive, to clean for
Oh
me,
yeah.
no problem. I would definitely have somebody to clean, like do my errands, like you know, if I have to take my dogs to the groomers and there's an option to pick him up, please come and pick him up and take him. I don't need to be, you know, like I have a robot for everything I can have a robot for. Like I full on. But even with that level of help, right? From whether you have a family helping you or, you know, whatever, you hire a service to help you, you are still coordinating all of this. You're still responsible for all of this. You're still thinking about all of this. Like when I wake
Yeah,
up
you
in the
still have to book
morning
them, and yeah,
and call, and if
it's
there's a
wild.
problem they call you, and if there's an issue, like you know, it's funny because my dogs are currently staying with my in-laws in California, and somebody told me the other day, oh, like that must be nice, at least you don't have to like, you know, do so much. And I was like, no, it's interesting because yeah, I don't have to pick up their poop every day. Yeah, there's definitely less work, I'm not downplaying, but like I still have to schedule every appointment, I still have to make sure, I have to talk to the doctors when they go, I have to
Send the
order all,
food.
send the food, send the shampoos, or organize all the schedules, make sure everything's in order, the vaccines are in place, their paperwork's are in place. If my dog was sick last week, and oh my god, hurry up, we have to get some joint medicine and research for 3 hours which one is the best and for a size that dog, and you know, and this dog is like 5,000 miles away.
Yeah, exactly. The responsibility and like the job is still there. It's still there.
It's insane, and then
It's
you
crazy
add to
to
this
think
a
that, like,
child.
yeah, yeah, and it's crazy that like it's just not talked about. Like, I can't believe it was so many years. It was just never even thought about. The fact that
You know,
this is like
do you
what
think
I kind of feel like annoys me about motherhood, because like when before I was a mother, I was like this, like I have it all figured out, right? I know
yeah.
how to be a mother. I will be the best parent ever in the world ever existed because I know everything. Simple. But then you become a mother, then you realize actually,
Mhm.
everything that they had taught you previously that you thought you knew, not real.
It's a
Didn't
lie.
exist.
Mhm.
Exactly. And that's when, you'd realize
So
actually I have so much to do.
I have a question for you because this is what I debate. So like my mom, when I was growing up, she also didn't. My mom would get really angry when she had to clean. Like she would just get in a bad mood, and like every time she started cleaning, we just knew that it was like, okay, she's gonna get in a bad mood soon. She's gonna start yelling at people for not helping her or whatever, right? Um, and then she'd always tell us, my brother and I laugh at this like every single day because she would always say, when you have kids, you understand. And one of the things that made me realize this whole sentence of when you have kids, you'll understand was recently I was so tired. We were going to the beach and I had planned everything. Like I literally had like, you know, and everybody's like in the car. And I swear to you, I had this moment of like, you know, why don't I just give them everything and they can go to the beach and I can just sit here and lay on my couch and read a book and do nothing. And then of course the guilt came of like, you know, like you're just spending time with your family, you're not being present, you're doing all these things, but you're not actually present. And then I started thinking about the heavy load of the person who's organizing and putting everything together, like usually the mom, right? There are some dads like that, but usually it's the mom. And how my mom was never the fun mom because she was probably exhausted from getting all this crap together so that we could have fun, you know? And the question that I have is, do you think we should make our kids aware of the load that it takes to run a household, to be the head of a household, to be a mother of a household, a parent of a household? And if so, how do we do that in a way that doesn't steal the joy of experiencing all these things? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel you can because I think it's about being real about things. So, like, when you're upset, I don't think I remember ever seeing my mom upset, for instance, like upset as in sad in a way that
Mm,
like she
mm,
was overwhelmed or, the house life things or whatever. Like, she would never share that or anything. So, like, there was never like that reality of, like being a mother sometimes is not, all beautiful, which it wasn't, and it was hard and things. But like there wasn't that sharing thing. I would have appreciated, I think, or if it was
mm.
me growing up. And for instance, with Flynn, I try to share with him when I'm obviously it's super hard though. It's super hard because like you don't want to show that vulnerability. You want to like protect them as well.
Right.
Um, so I don't know, but I find it like it's about moments, I guess. Like I find that there's certain moments that you can like your kid probably will be curious about what are you feeling, and that's when you can be real about it, but not make it like
Mm.
that negative, I guess. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
very hard.
this
It's a very hard
I think
concept.
it's something we're gonna have to navigate and take. And I think it also probably depends on the child you have. But for
Yeah,
example, with
exactly.
Alaska, yeah, in this Alaska's very intuitive. Like I was telling my cousin the other day, because my cousin, she has an 8 year old, and she can hide things or do things or talk about subjects in front of her, and her 8 year old is like in her own world. We transported a giant car for Christmas, hid it under the house inside of a laundry room that she never goes to. And the other day she was going down the stairs and she found it. Like Alaska's just she's gonna be a reporter, I swear. So I cry a lot because I'm pregnant, and there's always hormones, and I'm an emotional person. So combination is just like a recipe for just disaster. It's a miracle that I'm not crying right now. Let's just put it that way. So Alaska comes to me and she asks, like, Mama, like, why are you crying? Or like, what's going on? And sometimes I feel bad about like her seeing me that way. But what I've noticed is that the more it happens, because it's happened a lot during pregnancy, the more she understands what I'm going through, and she has empathy for what I'm going through, but she doesn't worry. So the first time that she saw me crying, I could see that she was worried. Now when I have those days where like I'm just so overwhelmed that I just can't get off the couch and all I'm doing is crying all day because like I can't control the tears literally, um, she gives me space, like, she knows not to bother me too much or to, like, whatever, but she doesn't seem worried, like, she knows that it's just emotion. So what I tell her is, um, mama's just going through emotions. We're having a lot of emotions. I explain that pregnancy has a lot of hormones, and that makes me emotional, but also that I'm tired or whatever it is that I'm feeling that day. And then, that sometimes we don't cry because we're sad. We cry because we're happy, because we're releasing, and I'm sort of like trying to normalize. Otherwise, she's gonna think we're crazy or I'm the
Yeah,
most
exactly.
depressed person on earth.
No,
Like,
no,
this is like,
yeah, but it's true. But it's true. Crying is not just because you are sad, and you have
right.
to normalize that, and you have to talk about it. And it is true, and that is a really good example because, like, she's also 3, so you can't really sit there and explain. Mommy is overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. You never
Yeah.
understand that. So it's a good way of putting it. So it's also that made me realize that there's an age for everything. So like even though you can still like show a little bit of reality with moderation until they start understanding slowly and time passes and stuff.
It's gonna
Very
be
interesting
crazy because
topic. I can't
I
believe we just
know.
stumbled upon this.
I know. I feel like we're gonna have a lot of like opportunities to revisit this topic as they grow older, and seeing how different conversations that are difficult are going to be
Yeah,
happening through the years, right? Because this whole emotion conversation, and I think explaining, going back to explaining the whole many hats to our children, like, I think that's the most important. I think more important than talking about it with other people, even our spouses or other women, I think it's imperative that us as women start having more of these conversations, all the
yeah,
uncomfortable ones, all
for
the
sure.
difficult ones, all the ones that we're afraid of, that we're embarrassed about, that we're comparing ourselves about. These are the ones we should be having. But I think it's almost as equally important to have these conversations with our children and to start normalizing what real life looks like. Because I find it that as generations, we're always comparing ourselves to the previous generations and what we did, what we're doing better or what they did worse, or like, oh, my mom had
Yeah.
25 kids, but that's all she had. And then the other kids helped her in the farm and she didn't have to go to work, but now you have to have a career. And it's like, I don't think it's that black or white. And I think it also differs greatly by person, but I think being able to like involve our kids, like I've been trying to teach my daughter to clean up, I had a friend who came over and she was like, if you just organize her toys, her books, even like I organize all her books and stuff like that, and by categories, it becomes easier. And every time she brings a toy out, we play and then we put it back. Obviously, this sounds phenomenal. It doesn't work like that in real life. Not if you have a child like me. I don't know. For some people, it probably works. In my house, it doesn't work, but it has made a big difference on the mess. So a big difference. We still have a mess, and every like 2 weeks or so, it's like, okay, we gotta start from zero and reorganize everything because there's no longer an order. But it has made a big difference. And what we do is I teach her about cleaning up as part of the process, right? So like she used to always be like, "Oh, help me clean up," and I'm like, or like, "Oh, I have to." Like already she does this. Like she's 3 and she goes, "Oh, I don't want to clean up," and I'm just like, "Oh my god." So what I do is I assign her the job of cleaning up, and I say, when we finish cleaning up, we're going to do whatever else that she wants to do, whether it's watch a movie or go out or whatever. And one day she didn't get to watch TV at all because like we got home and I was like, well, when we finish cleaning up the living room with the toys that we finished playing with, we can move on to the next activity, which is watching a movie. This took her 2.5 hours and she didn't even finish. And basically I went and I just helped her clean up so that she could go to bed, but she didn't get to see any movie. Then the next day she was a lot more okay with cleaning because she realized, oh, I'm not gonna get to do. But this day she didn't throw a tantrum or anything. It's just they get distracted, bro, when they start picking up their
Yeah.
toys. And
Yeah.
then each I
And then
thought
they
I had
start a new
insight.
game, and you're just like, oh, no. The worst is when you're trying to help them and you've already just tidied something and they found it, and you're like, oh, get it back out. And you're like, oh,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah. Yep, Alaska is big on that. In Alaska, we'll find anything, a piece of paper, a receipt, a piece of Play-Doh that's 5 weeks old, anything. It doesn't have to be a toy. Like it, like
Yeah.
it does not have to be anything. It could be a leaf, a scale from a
Something to
fish that my brother
distract.
brought last week, anything, anything. And she's like, ooh, look.
But yeah, we've actually started doing the same thing with the tidying up toys, and then like you'll get something after, like whatever activity you want to do after will be after the toys type thing, and
Yeah.
it actually has worked.
I think that's helped a lot for us. I mean, it's not perfect. It's not like one of those Montessori Pinterest rooms that you see with nothing out of the place, but it definitely is better. It used to be that oh my gosh, my house is like just chaotic. And then another thing that I've been doing is when she asks me to play with her or to do something, if I'm doing something like I'm always doing something, I explain to her, like, yes, I can play with you, but first I'm going to finish the dishes. And I always give her a choice to help, even though, let's be honest, I do not want her to help because it's going to take 55 more hours, But I find it that at least we're doing something together, you know what I mean? And she gets to at least be part of it. But she's started to say no. At the beginning, she would love to. Now she goes, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I need to go play. And she just leaves me. But it has led to a lot more independent play, at least. So there is that.
Well, that's good. Well, at least there's
Yeah.
a win. There's a
But
win there.
there is the win somewhere. But she straight up just tells me she can't help me because she's busy. She needs to go play.
Finn always wants to help in the kitchen. And he always comes to help, unless it's like really frying, boiling hot stuff that we're just like, okay, well, maybe not because you were a bit wild. He literally throws himself at food and knives and stuff. It's crazy. So we have to teach him.
So he always wants to help. He never leaves in
if
the
he
middle of
sees
helping.
you in the kitchen, oh yeah, definitely leaves in the middle or
Alaska
doesn't stay for the
she
whole
gets
thing.
tired. If she's not too entertained,
Yeah.
she goes, I'm too tired. I have to go play.
Yeah, if it's not what he wants to do, he's like, oh yeah.
Okay.
No.
So it's not just my child.
No.
This is why it's so good to have these conversations. I feel like these conversations are like imperative for like our soul. You know, it's like you have to talk to another mom and hear the stories that they have to just be like, oh, okay, so I'm not crazy. It's not just me. Like I don't have.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, we're doing good. Whew,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I'm currently sleeping on a sheet that has the pee as dried, but we don't have any clean sheets, right? And another mom shared about the exact same thing on Instagram like yesterday, and I was like, "Look at that! I'm not the only one."
Yes,
I felt
yes. You
validated.
know, when Alaska was tiny, we lived in Mexico. We had a lady that would come every day to help us. Her name is Maritza. She is just I love her so much. Anyway, Maritza was the first person who introduced me to like not washing everything the minute a baby pees on it. Like one day she was like, Alaska wore cloth diapers, right? And so like sometimes it would see through a
Oh
little,
yeah,
like a, just, and she would just be like, it's just baby pee. It's nothing.
oh yeah. Baby pee is fine.
she just she normalized it in a way that I was like, oh, well, I guess yeah, it's not really much. They just drink formulas.
It's
I mean, not formula,
pure.
breast
That's
milk.
what they
So
say.
yeah,
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 exactly.
yeah.
When they're that little, it's pure. Should
As,
bottle
as
it up.
pure as can be. So if you are a mom listening, I hope you're a mom listening. Otherwise, it's probably a very boring conversation. But if you're a mom to be or a mom and you're listening to this conversation, just know that whatever you're going through is totally normal. It's totally part of it, weird as it may be to you. And that I think the solution here, we don't have advice. We don't have the answer. We're not going to sit here and tell you how to let the people in your
No.
life know that you have to wear 75 hats and you need help. But I think we're definitely onto something with communicating more, talking about it more, being more open, and letting our family also be part of the help. Because I feel like we also tend to be a little bit of the problem by always wanting to do things on my own. Like when I say, oh, I'm not going to have her help me with the
Yeah.
dishes because it'll take forever. It's like, well, you're neglecting, like you're rejecting help, right? So being a little bit more open and normalizing the things that need to be done and including our family to help us in those things. And, like
Yeah.
sometimes we're a little bit of control freaks. Like, people may not do things the way that we will do things, but they will still get done. And then you won't have to complain so much that you're the only one doing it.
That's a big one to expect.
Yes. Yes. It'll get done differently, but it'll get done and at least you'll get some help. So just putting that out there.
Yeah.
If you want to continue more conversations like this, you can follow us on Instagram at Who Let the Moms Out Dat Pod. And we will see you next week.
Thank you so much for joining us.